August 17, 1943, New Guinea. A young pilot climbs into his P-38 Lightning, his hands shaking. He knows this might be his last flight, but somewhere under the wing, a mechanic has just broken every regulation in the U.S. Army Air Force and changed the course of the Pacific War forever. This is the story of Technical Sergeant James McKenna, a man who saw what engineers and officers couldn't. A mechanic who defied the rules, risked prison, and saved dozens of lives with a 6-inch piece of piano wire. It's a story of courage, innovation, and one small act that turned defeat into victory. At 7:42 a.m., McKenna crouched beneath a silver P-38 Lightning at WWII Airfield. Above him, Lieutenant Robert Hayes, just 23 years old, prepared for a mission against 18 Japanese Zero fighters. He'd flown 6 combat missions and had 0 kills. The P-38 was an engineering marvel. Twin engines, twin booms, blinding speed, devastating firepower. But it had one fatal flaw. It couldn't turn with a 0. The Japanese Mitsubishi A6M-0 was light, agile, and danced through the sky like a leaf on the wind. In a dogfight, it could complete a full horizontal turn in half the time of a P-38. The Americans had a saying, "Never turn with a 0." Doctrine was clear: hit fast, dive away, climb out. Never, ever try to outmaneuver them. But in New Guinea, doctrine was getting men killed. McKenna had been maintaining P-38s for 8 months. He knew their guts, every bolt, every cable. And he knew the real problem wasn't the pilots. It was in the controls. Inside the P-38's twin booms, the aileron control cables had a tiny amount of slack, about 3/8 of an inch. It doesn't sound like much, but at low speeds, that fraction of a second between stick movement and response meant death. McKenna had reported it months earlier. The engineers said the tension was within factory specs. Changing it, they said, would void the aircraft warranty. So, they told him, do nothing. But McKenna couldn't watch another pilot die because of paperwork. He'd seen too many friends go down. Lieutenant David Chen, a California kid like McKenna, died when his P-38 failed to roll fast enough to evade a 0. Captain William Morrison, a veteran with 11 kills, reported mushy controls seconds before being shot down. Each time, the same story. The plane didn't respond in time. And each time, the Army called it pilot error. McKenna and his friend, Crew Chief Rodriguez, knew better. The manuals didn't matter. That slack was killing men. On the humid night of August 16th, Lieutenant Hayes came to McKenna, desperate. "Is there anything you can do to make it roll faster?" he asked. McKenna looked at him, a scared kid with tired eyes, and said, "Come back in the morning." When the base fell quiet, McKenna went to work alone. He pulled a piece of piano wire from a scrapped P-38, 6 inches long. With pliers and bloody fingers, he bent it into a Z-shape, a makeshift tensioner. He crawled inside the boom, flashlight clamped between his teeth, sweat running down his face. Every sound echoed in the metal chamber. The click of tools, the hum of distant generators, the jungle outside alive with insects. He knew if he got caught, he'd face court-martial, maybe prison. But if he didn't, Hayes would die. At 1:15 a.m., he finished. The cable was tight. No slack. Perfect. At sunrise, McKenna watched Hayes climb into the cockpit. The engines roared to life, twin Allisons screaming as the P-38 thundered down the runway. At 8:14 a.m., the squadron engaged 9 Zeros over the Huon Gulf. Hayes dove from 15,000 feet. His guns rattled, tracers slicing through the morning sky. The Zero rolled to evade, and Hayes followed. That's when it happened. For the first time, the P-38 rolled instantly. No lag, no delay. The stick and wings moved as one. Hayes pulled lead and fired. The Zero exploded in a flash of fire and black smoke. His first kill. Then 3 more Zeros dove on him. Hayes rolled, reversed, climbed. The Lightning snapped through maneuvers faster than any P-38 had before. Within minutes, Hayes shot down 2 more Zeros. 3 kills in 7 minutes. When he landed, shaking and drenched in sweat, he walked straight to McKenna and whispered 2 words. It worked. Word spread fast. Captain Frank Mitchell had seen Hayes's P-38 rolling like no Lightning ever could. He found McKenna, demanded to know what he'd done. When McKenna explained, Mitchell just said, "Do mine." By the end of August, 9 aircraft were modified. By mid-September, over 40 across New Guinea had the secret fix. Mechanics installed the piano wire, removed it before inspections, then reinstalled it after. No paperwork, no approval, just survival. And it worked. The kill ratio flipped. In July, Americans lost 2 P-38s for every Zero shot down. By September, the odds were even. The hunters had become the hunted. Japanese pilots were stunned. Their trusted tactics, the feint, the reversal, the tight turn, stopped working. Even Saburo Sakai, Japan's top ace with 64 kills, reported a P-38 that rolled faster than physics allowed. He barely escaped with his life. The Zeros began to fear the Lightnings. They avoided fights they'd once welcomed, and all of it, every victory, every life saved, came from a piece of piano wire no one was supposed to install. Lockheed engineers finally learned about the mystery modification in October 1943. They tested it, approved it, and quietly built it into the new P-38J model. Official reports credited engineering improvements. McKenna's name never appeared. James McKenna never asked for recognition. He just fixed airplanes. After the war, he ran a small garage in Long Beach until he was 88. Today, that garage still stands. On the back wall hangs a faded photo. A young mechanic beside a P-38 Lightning, New Guinea, 1943. He didn't design a new weapon. He didn't command a squadron. He just cared enough to fix what others ignored. And because of that, dozens of young pilots came home. If this story moved you, honor the forgotten heroes like James McKenna. The ones who saved lives not with medals, but with wrenches and courage. Subscribe for more untold stories of World War II. Each one matters. Each one deserves to be remembered.